awful lot to discuss, not a lot of West Ham news, and we've got the match coming up tomorrow, so I will keep this as short as I possibly can. The rumours are predictably around Declan Rice and around Jesse Lingard, although there's some chitter-chatter about somebody coming in from Arsenal, and we'll get to that in just a second. But a couple of days ago, when somebody posted a question, when myself and Gio were doing a live broadcast of some description, and the question was, the question was put to me and myself and Gio, would we accept, I think it was McTominay, Jesse Lingard and £30 million for Declan Rice? And I think Gio said, oh, we'll deal with that in the cup of tea, and we didn't. And I only just remember because the question got asked again and I didn't answer it. So I'll be covering that tomorrow. No, I'm joking. I won't. Tomorrow's match day anyway, isn't it? So there will be no morning video tomorrow, of course. Unless you're a patron, of course, and you will have the patron breakfast. Would I accept that? I guess I sort of would, but I'd try and negotiate a little bit harder. It's all about improving the team. And improving the team for next season. At the moment, just securing Jesse Lingard doesn't improve the team. We've already got him. And surely we want to push on and do better. I would imagine that next season the league won't be in the state of flux that it is now. So, would bringing Jesse Lingard in improve the team? No, it keeps it a status quo. So, but then we lose, as part of this deal, we lose Declan Rice. Okay, so does one McTominay equal one Rice? No, Rice is better than McTominay. But McTominay is a good player. He would slot into his position, so it would stop us having to buy in that particular position. So the question is, would the 30 million then improve the team? And as I say, I probably would negotiate a little bit harder on that and try and, I don't know, make it 40 million or something like that. Now, I don't think for a second that United would want to give us McTominay, but if we were playing hardball, and as we know, there's not going to be a lot of money around, and if Declan Rice has an exceptional Euro Championship, as I think he probably will, then I think you can negotiate a little bit harder. So the question is, can bringing in another player offset the loss or the difference between Rice and McTominay? And I think it probably can if you get the player in the right position. So if we've already got, let's say, some money put aside for Jesse Lingard and for a striker, plus we get another 30, 40 million, you have to assume that we would have, you know, sort of 70, 80 million to spend there. Now, I think what you do then is you buy two players. So then the question is, can two £40 million players, and I'm not talking about Felipe Anderson here, can two £40 million players offset that difference? And I think it can. I think with that deal you can improve the first team. Declan would be a big loss, and I don't want to sell him. I'm just answering a question. Personally, I hope next season we have Jesse Lingard and Declan Rice. And as I said, I think if we qualify for Europe, in whatever guise, I think that will happen. I think we get both of those players. I think we keep both of those players. I think we sign Lingard. I think we get to keep Rice for at least one more season. I think if we do well in Europe and we look like we're going to do it again, then you could possibly then renegotiate with Rice because you've got a little bit more data behind you. You've got 2 seasons of challenging for Europe and being in Europe. So Rice might think, hold on a second, I can fulfil my ambitions with West Ham. I'm in the England team, they're in Europe. Why leave? I think we'd have to pay him a handsome amount of money to keep him, but you follow what I'm saying there. The other 2 players, look, I mean, you can decide yourself. We'd still need another midfielder, but what I think it would allow you to do is bring in a £40 million striker. I think a £40 million player somewhere else, maybe your left back or something like that. And then on the periphery, you can do your loans and bits and pieces. But I think it's all about improving the first team. As a byproduct, the bench is improved because Antonio goes down to the bench, Cresswell goes down to the bench, or whatever the case may be. But you still need that reserve midfielder, the backup midfielder, the role that Mark Noble is playing now, even though I know Mark will be here next season. So that's my thoughts on that. In terms of the discussion around Declan Rice and Jesse Lingard at the moment, it seems to be twofold. It seems to be this bit of brinksmanship going on between Jesse Lingard and Manchester United, or at least the people telling the story. I like the message that at least has been publicly put out there, which Jesse Lingard's agents, and are not overly impressed with what they've heard from Manchester United at the moment. I understand this is, this is a bit of back and forth, and it might not even be that. It might just be newspaper talk, but it is. I like it. It's almost like they're saying, we'll not be duped by this. We're not being fooled. Jesse Lingard wants one thing, I think, and that's first team football. The other stuff comes after. I don't get the impression that he's overly money motivated, and he's not. I don't think he will take more money and not play football. Put it that way. So if someone's got first team football on the table, then can you then offer him European football? Can you give him a good wage? Those things come afterwards and as a byproduct. The other thing seems to be this story doing the rounds that somehow Declan Rice has been asking the Manchester United players on England duty, Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw, so what's it like at Manchester United then? Now, firstly, who would know, right? Who would know? For that to be the case, Declan will have had to have told somebody that has his confidence. And he would have to say to him, I had a chat with Luke Shaw, I've had a chat with Harry Maguire, I've been asking him. And then that person would have to betray Declan Rice's confidence. So I don't think that's happened. Or Luke Shaw or Harry Maguire have somehow leaked it to the newspapers or something like that. Again, I don't think it's happened. Look, I'm sure just in the natural course of conversation with them being workmates for England, they've discussed different things about their clubs. I'm sure everybody does it. I think it's natural. I think it's natural to see somebody on the telly, as you might do. You might be a player at one club and you see this other guy on the telly and you might say to your mates, what is he actually really like? Is he actually really like that? So I think that's just a normal conversation. I think that probably happens quite a lot. So I don't read too much into that. And Declan Rice doesn't need to ask Harry Maguire or Luke Shaw what it's like at Manchester United. And I don't think that really would have any bearing on if he would sign or not. If Declan Rice is going to sign with Man United, it won't be because Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw say it's tickety-boo, I just can't believe I just said tickety-boo and stuck both thumbs up. But there you go. You get all sorts. Show me age there, certainly. The other couple of little bits and pieces of news, which is report West Ham could snap up Eddie Nketiah. This is old news. This is rehashed. I don't believe it. He's the England under-21 striker. I think, actually, Nketiah is the record goal scorer for the England under-21s. So, but I don't believe it. It's not getting much of a look in, I believe, at Arsenal. Arteta likes other people. Look, if he was on a free or something like that and Moyes could take him as squad padding, maybe. Maybe. However, this is not the striker that we're looking for. And if you'd seen myself and Gio's video the other day, that we're looking at bigger names, certainly, than this guy. The other news story that was doing the rounds really was Felipe Anderson again, who couldn't even get on the bench for Porto's Champions League tie. They've agreed, I say Porto, that he could come back. There's no agreement. He was due to come back anyway. They wanted to send him back early. We said no. You've got to keep him there. So we've offset his wages for a year, and rightly so. I'm glad we did say no, by the way. But once he comes back, he's got a year left on his contract, and I mean it's terrible to have a depreciating asset like that. So I would imagine what will probably happen is that he will probably go back out on loan somewhere again. We'll probably subsidise a portion of his wages, or we will pay him off. We'll come to a settlement, almost like we did with Jack Wilshere. But it's a massive shame, and I think it's a massive shame. I think it's a massive shame for West Ham, a massive shame for us. I think the player I'm not overly impressed with in that sense, because he's clearly got a lot of talent. He's clearly got pace. I just don't feel he's applied himself, and it can't just be a West Ham thing because he's not applied himself at Porto, or so it seems. It starts to become a bit of a trend, doesn't it? Really, I guess we'll only see and only know when he moves on to his next club. And if he does the same there, then we'll probably realise we've been sold a pup, really, and that's not great. That's not great, and it does go to highlight why it is so important when you're scouting for players to scout for personality. And I've often said it before, I did wonder, you know, in years gone by, why we didn't pay more attention to fitness, injury records, that sort of thing. When you're scouting, scout for fitness. But I also think personality and attitude is a massive thing. I think that's a must. You must do that. And I think Moyes does do that. And that's why we hear about this fantastic spirit in the training ground amongst the team and the squad. And they all speak about it. It's not just some rumour. The players say, you can see how they interact with each other when they finish the game as well. This is clearly a band of brothers. And I think it's played a large part in us being as good as we have been this season. It's not just been based on skill and goals and organisation, of which there's been plenty of that, but everyone's pulling together, everyone's playing for one another, and it just goes to show why that's important. I think that's why Moyes was keen to get Anderson out, and I also think it was why he was probably keen to get Sebastian Haller out. I'm not saying Haller was a bad egg. You haven't got to be a bad egg. You just sometimes don't fit the group dynamic, and that's enough. That's enough just to upset the balance, to upset the camaraderie of the group and something like that. So I think we'll find out more about Felipe Anderson, but it's why I do think whatever happens, I don't feel that he should be part of the first team squad next season. I do feel we've got to do what we can to get him out of there. And that's why I am also more confident that whoever David Moyes does bring in is going to do a good job. He's going to have the right attitudes and all that sort of thing. Anyway, there you go. I said there wasn't much to talk about. 11 and a half minutes. There you go. Probably 12 minutes by the time we've played the outro and all the rest of it. Thank you for joining me. Obviously, game tomorrow. Join myself and Gio for the build-up show at 20 past 11. 10 past 11, something like that. You're gonna have to check on it. We've got the build-up show. We've got the Patreon breakfast. If you're a patron, join us for that. Bleary-eyed on a Saturday morning. Actually, my son's got a football match, so I've got to go down, watch my son play football. Then back here for 20 past 11 or whatever it is. And then we got the game. We got the review. Player ratings, the Patreon, and all sorts of stuff. And of course, you've got the watch along with Charlie. As the game is in progress, lots going on. We'll have Specky Becky will be on this channel, of course, after the game at some point, and then I'll be banging on about it on Sunday. So anyway, enjoy. Have a very, very nice weekend. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will catch up with you tomorrow for the game.